What is going on, gamers and aliens? It's me, Dan, moderately anonymous MTG, and we are back with another episode of the greatest EDH channel in the multiverse. But today we have got a very special end of year holiday episode because we are playing some dang Vintage Cube. That's right, the Vintage Cube is back on MTGO. I played a really fun league. This is a really wild episode. It's a really wild deck, a lot of really wild games. So buckle in. Hope you guys are having some fun, and let's get into it. Hey everybody, before we hop into our video today, I just want to take a moment to shout out our sponsors for this video, BetterHelp. Magic has been an awesome way to de-stress and connect to community in my life, but as someone who's lived with depression and anxiety disorders throughout my adult life, nothing has been as important to improving my mental health as therapy. Changing seasons means changing routines and priorities, and it's not uncommon to deal with anxiety regarding those changes. If you felt extra stressed lately regarding work, practicing for upcoming CDH tournaments, or anything else, talking to a licensed therapist from BetterHelp can give you the tools that you need to help manage that stress and deal with it in healthy ways. Getting started is easy. Just fill out a questionnaire and you'll match with a therapist in as little as a couple of days, and you can easily switch therapists at any time for no extra cost if it's not the right fit for you. If you've been thinking about starting therapy, this is your opportunity to see a quality therapist who can get you on the right track to improving your health with BetterHelp. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. BetterHelp also accepts both HSA and FSA cards, making it even easier to prioritize your mental health. In 2024 alone, over 137,000 people used their HSA or FSA benefits for therapy through BetterHelp, so be sure to use yours before they expire. Click the link in the description of this video or go to betterhelp.com/modanonmtg and get 10% off of your first month of therapy. Now, let's go ahead and hop into the game. All right, recording. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? It's me, Dan, moderately anonymous MTG. We are about to hop into the Vintage Cube. Don't look at my record from my last stream. Nearly had the 3-0 in our last stream with a little bit of Boros aggro. But let's open up some triple power and easily 3-0. That's my prediction for this draft, as all drafts always. It's a popular move to complain that you never get power when you're drafting, but opposite for me. Revel in riches. I get three pieces of power per pack. Is the prediction for this one. All right, pack one open, and we got our wish granted. We got a ruby here, which is pretty great considering that the best red card in this pack is probably like Lelia or something. Ruby is really great because it fits really nicely into Boros aggro. It does a lot of work for that deck, being able to power out quick powerful cards like Lelia, not necessarily Grim Lavamancer. But this is one of the better Moxen that we can open, so that's fantastic. The unfortunate part is that this Ancient Tomb is due to go pretty quickly in this pack. It is the picks fall off pretty quickly after that. We've got Agatha's Soul Cauldron, I don't think is really all that great, but Scalding Tarn, Lelia, Mana Confluence, Ancient Tomb are all like pretty good in that next pickable category. Woodfall Primus, Citadel not quite making it, but all things considered, that's good for us because there's not going to be anyone necessarily fighting us for red based on the picks that we left him in that pack. Next up here, we've got a Mishra's Workshop is a powerful next possible pick. There's also Orcish Lumberjack, goes really good with a Ruby. Nothing else in this pack that's like really all that fantastic. Multiversal Passage is a new one from the Spider-Man set. It's essentially a shockland for any basic. It's a pretty good one. And there's also a Luminarch Aspirant here, which is not an insane second pick after a Moxed Ruby if we want to just cement ourselves into Boros aggro. Although a Mishra's Workshop is pretty enticing. Maybe not for a sane person, but I do love the workshop deck. It's, you know, it's the holiday season. We gotta force artifacts a little bit. If we lose out on a Luminarch Aspirant in an otherwise really nice Boros aggro deck, I'll be somewhat perturbed, I suppose. But here's a Palantir of Orthanc to follow up the Mishra's Workshop pick. Not a bad one. If we were dead set on Boros aggro, Cam and Ferric, this is like a Bazaar of Baghdad card. Discard a card that gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Yeah, no, if we were going to be in Boros, I think I'd be looking at probably like Abandoned Air Temple is really nice. Or Adeline, I would like maybe reluctantly think about, I guess. But neither one of those are all that fantastic. I'm pretty much more excited about a Palantir, I think. Not that it's a slam dunk or anything, but, you know, it's a fine follow-up for our Mishra's Workshop. Definitely looking for some of the different talisman. There's an Oko here, is pretty sweet. That makes artifacts. Doesn't go necessarily with the two things that we have picked thus far. There's also a Tundra, which is just a nice safe bet. Would really love to pick up balance for a deck that's leveraging workshop very well. Tundra's so safe though. Subtlety is also a fine pick, but if we're gonna be dedicated artifacts, we're gonna have fewer blue cards. We're gonna have more colorless cards. I think I want to take this Oko. I probably rate Oko a little bit higher than I should. There's also Zerda, which is a fine consideration here because if it goes infinite with Basalt Monolith. But you know, sometimes the drafting the artifact deck can go a little sideways, and having something like Oko to back you up can be pretty good if we don't quite get there. That being said, we do have Candelabra of Tawnos here, which isn't great so far. It's obviously the best with Tolarian Academy, but it's not so bad with Mishra's Workshop. It's certainly mana positive. If we're not taking that, could consider taking just Elegant Parlor here. Also, a Containment Priest is a very powerful white card. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that Candelabra is really the card I want to pick here. I'm going to be a little bit safe, I guess, and go with this Elegant Parlor. Containment Priest doesn't really go into the artifacts deck. Elegant Parlor doesn't necessarily, but it could. It does not help us cast Oko, that is for sure. We've got a few different picks going in a few different directions right now. Between like Bristly Bill and the Scythe Cat Cub that we saw in the last pack, it seems like the Nadu deck is certainly open from here. I think it's just going to be Memory Lapse here is a very fine pickup. So we're not necessarily moving steadily into the direction of artifacts here, but picks are early. We'll see what else we find. Next pack here, nothing insane. There is a Lotus Petal, which goes with the potential artifact deck. Barrogoyf is just a generally strong card. Could go along with this Barrogoyf and Oko, can not necessarily a combination, but can go in the same deck rather well. There's also Theming Skydiver, but I think Lotus Petal is probably just the kind of non-committal card I want to take in a situation like this where we don't quite know where we want to be yet. And of course I want to hold out hope that we're going to be the artifact deck. This next pick here, Zagoth Triumph will certainly help us cast Oko, so I might just take that. I think the only other consideration here really is like Gobin is the thing that turns into Fleam, can't be blocked whenever it deals combat damage, it connive, so gets out of hand over the course of the game. Or a Deep Cavern Bat is a good way to check a hand. We don't have any black fixing or other black cards yet though, so let's start off with the Zagoth Triumph if we are potentially moving into the direction of the Sultai deck that I don't necessarily want to be. That being said, I think I'm probably just going to take the Botanical Sanctum here. Agatha's Soul Cauldron doesn't really go with anything in the artifact deck, even if we were to take it. There's the Meticulous Archive, which, again, if we were going to be the artifact deck, we're hoping to get balance or something like that. Woodfall Primus good for a flash if we wanted to bet in that direction, but let's just take Botanical Sanctum. That might just be the direction that we're taking here. And if it is, it's only really like Palantir that I wouldn't be too excited about. What did we take over Barrogoyf? I think that was the Lotus Petal. I think that's still alright, mostly. Not a very exciting pick here. Ouroboride I like a lot. If we end up in a green-heavy deck. We don't really look like a green-heavy deck as of this moment, though. But it is the easiest thing to cast here, so I think I'm just going to take that. I think this was the Bristly Bill pack, so someone's moving in on green a bit, which is not necessarily what I want to see, but Terra Sunder is a good removal, so we'll take that. Don't remember what else we saw in this pack. I don't really want to take this Llanowar Elves. It's very replaceable. It's possible we want to just take Urborg. That could be helpful if we end up in that Mishra's Workshop deck, regardless. Master of Death is another one of those bizarre cards. Alright, let's take the Baloth, I think? Not a particularly powerful card, but I think it's probably better for us than Eagles at this point. Kitesail Freebooter came back or sink into Stupor. I think I'm going to take Kitesail. I do like to know what's going on in somebody's hand. Okay, a little bit wonky in our pack 1. We opened up Ancestral Recall in pack 2. That's really nice. We also opened up a Minskin Boo, which is pretty hot. But I'm glad that we opened up Ancestral, so I don't really have to think about stretching into a different color. Yeah, Ancestral, easy. What can we hope to really wheel from this pack? I don't know, Blooming Marsh, maybe, if we are really committing to the Sultai life here. Or maybe Green Sun Zenith. We don't have any green creatures yet, but we'll see. We'll see what life is like. But Ancestral is a fine place to start. Ooh, here's Flash, and here is Academy. Well, we've already passed up on Woodfall Primus for that Flash. We're not so far away from being this Academy deck. We have, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just an easy Academy pick here. We sort of veered away from that with a few of our picks in the last pack, but I mean, we can still keep Oko. I think it's just Terra Sunder maybe that we're not main decking anymore, or Kite Sail is probably going to beat it too. But yeah, I mean, it's beginning of pack 2. It's a fine time to pick up Tolarian Academy. There's Basalt Monolith and Hull Breacher. Basalt Monolith is very, very good with Mishra's Workshop. Hull Breacher is a fine card. We don't have any wheels yet. There's obviously also the Lion's Eye Diamond here, which is very good with the Tolarian Academy. But we're not the best looking Lion's Eye Diamond deck so far. I guess there's also World Spine Worm here for that Flash, but I'm not really thinking about that anymore. We're already past it. I think it's just easy Basalt here. Keep an eye out for that little blue fella that goes infinite with it. Engineer or something? I can't quite remember. This pack, we've got a Duress. We've got a Hallowed Fountain if we want to keep our white options open, which I kind of do. I don't necessarily think I want to take Duress in our Tolarian Academy deck. And there's like Haywire Might, I guess, is actually something we could theoretically play since we've already got some green splash in here. Pretty weak pick here, though. I think I'm gonna go for the Hallowed Fountain and keep our colors open. This is the big Wan Shi Tong. 4/4 flyer. When it enters target non-land permanent's owner puts it into the library second from the top. And whenever cards are put into a library from anywhere, create 2 1/1 spirits. I don't think either one of those sentences are better than any of the words on Stock Up. Not a single one of them. And yeah, we're not really in a Voice of Victory place right now. Stock Up is pretty great. Oh, here's a Coalition Relic. That's the kind of thing that we want to see to go along with our Mishra's Workshop here. So I think that we're in the right spot for the most part. We probably don't get this Talisman back from this pack, unfortunately. Talisman of Creativity is definitely one of the better ones for the Academy deck, but that's okay. No big loss. This pack, we could think about a Seeker's Chariot. That is an artifact that you can cast with the Mishra's Workshop. We currently have no white cards, so we've no real reason to consider Staff of the Storyteller. No artifact creation. Or token creation, rather. I guess the only other pick is like Talon Gates, which is technically, it's probably the correct pick because it just kind of slots into whatever deck you're playing. Yeah, I think there's, as cheeky as it is, there's probably very little chance that I cast a Seeker's Chariot. That being said, I was just about to say that I don't think I've ever used Talon Gates like very sneakily before. This pack, I think we're just taking Everflowing Chalice. Another trinket, good with Mishra's Workshop. Saheeli wield here, that's actually really good for us. That's great with the Academy. Okay, so yeah, we went a little astray, but we're shaping back up. We've got a few too many odd lands here. I think, honestly, we're going to keep the Urborg, though, because it does make Tolarian Academy and Mishra's Workshop into just swamps, if nothing else. Okay. I'm not mad at where we're at right now. This is kind of cool. I'm not gonna say that we're drafting the world's best Academy deck right now, but I believe in this. 3 zeros with Saheeli, some really good Mishra's Workshop castables, and Oko if things go sideways. We're cooking. We're definitely cooking. I don't think that Time Vault is in this cube. Sowing Microspawn finds Tolarian Academy. So I'm not opposed to actually main decking that if we've got all this green stuff anyway. There was a Chromatic Star, I think, in our opening pack here in pack 2 that we took the Ancestral out of that I would have liked to wheel, but it did not seem like it came back around. I guess one thing that is actually kind of useful about Talon Gates, if nothing else, besides like the facing part, is that it does filter mana. That has actually been like more commonly useful to me than the phasing part of it. think the phasing thing has come up like maybe once or twice, but I filtered mana through Talon Gates quite a few times. Let's see, the World Spine came back around. I guess I just take the Breeding Pool to shore up any green splash we might want to have. Don't think there's a reason to take Oliphant. Magda does make artifacts, but don't think that's really where we need to be in this direction. I could take the End Stone here. The End Stone is it can be cool in the right kind of Tinker deck, which we could be. We don't have very many trinkets to tinker, though. We do need to shore that up in our last pack here. We missed the Talisman of Creativity in this pack, or I guess I'm still assuming. Yeah, this was the pack right here. We do only have Sowing Mycospawn so far, and we do have that Oath of Druids I just took. I've never played a Tolarian Academy Oath of Druids deck before. We missed Lion's Eye Diamond as well, and I think someone took the Bolas' Citadel on the first go round of pack 1, so it seems like we've got a Storm player in our midst, so it's someone we might be fighting for certain kinds of mana acceleration. At the very least, they took our Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. I mean, I think we're just taking Grim Monolith here. We're gonna kind of need to find a good payoff for having all of this mana so far. I guess we can beat down with Saheeli tokens. It's not the worst. But yeah, Grim Monolith is in the ballpark of things that I wanted to be opening. We didn't go triple power. We were very close to it. We did get double power opening for this draft, so that much I'm at least happy about. Oh, wow, Force of Will, huh? Wow, if we took that flash, we would have had a pretty good flash deck. Atraxa here, we had World Spine we're in the last one. Thankfully, though, we did take the flash, so again, I don't have to feel really bad about taking this Force of Will. How good is this Force of Will for our deck right now? We've got Ancestral Memory Lapse, Oko, Stock Up, Saheeli. It's not the thickest supply of blue cards in the world, but that leaves us Walking Ballista or this Karn to wheel, and I don't think that taking Walking Ballista over Force of Will makes sense, regardless of how many blue cards we have currently. Snapcaster to go with our Ancestral, although there is Ugin. Ugin is a way to win the game. I think it has to be Ugin. I don't think that it's very likely that Snapcaster comes back to us, unfortunately. Maybe we get that Talisman, though. This is a pretty stacked pack. Although it didn't seem like anyone was taking Reanimator stuff either, so might be nobody looking at that Metamorphosis Fanatic. But yeah, we're taking Ugin here for sure. That is the kind of pickup that we needed. Wow, some interesting picks here. We've got Library of Alexandria, which I'm very inclined to take generally. But this might be a Teferi. I don't think we're at picking up Jar here over one of Teferi or Library. Just because our interaction is so low, this does look like a deck that generally wants to dump his hand more than play the slow game. I think we're taking Teferi here. Hopefully we wheel that Jar. If we don't, it won't be a nightmare. It's another blue card for the Force as well. Alright, so pretty loaded up on 3 drops here, but that's good for our Mishra's Workshop. We're still not looking at the world's best Academy deck here for sure. Wow, that's a late 4th Lingus here. Can we afford to swing a 4th Lingus? I mean, it's a pretty easy remand if we don't. I know that we've got Zeator's Proving Ground and doesn't really add a whole lot to the situation. We do have an Elegant Parlor, which is something. We just don't have a lot of fixing at the moment. I mean, we've got the Petal and we've got Ruby and we've got Coalition Relic. It's basically it. Man, I think this is a deck where we're supposed to be jamming, though. I don't know. I'm going to take the 4th Iralingus. That doesn't feel like the best decision I've ever made, but are we a PO deck? Don't think so. We didn't really make it there on a lot of really great cheap trinkets to pick up with the Paradoxical. I think we might just take Vivi here. We're not really the greatest Vivi deck either, but that is another blue thing to pitch to force. I suppose Paradoxical is too. Spell Pierce, I think, here over the Teferi. There is a Manifold Key that goes with Grim Monolith, but it's basically the only thing. I guess it will also inevitably go positive with this Everflowing Chalice. But I think that's probably a little thin. Oh, did we see the Sword of the Meek already? Is it too late to opt into this Thopter Foundry? Do not remember if we saw the Sword of the Meek. Oh, I'm sorry, Spell Pierce. I want to take it, but I think if we get Sword, it's going to make our deck a lot better. Oh, there's the Forensic Gadgeteer, and that does go infinite with our Basalt Monolith. What does going infinite do for us? Not a whole lot. We can make an infinitely large 4th Erolingus, which I don't think that really makes a difference. Helps us to cast Ugin. Didn't end up getting... Gosh, do we want the Soul Guide Lantern, though? Gadgeteer is actually, I don't know, just kind of good. Here we've got Lava Spur Boots, but we didn't get the Urza Saga is really great to go with it. I think we are just kind of ending up kind of mid-rangey here, so let's just take it to Shauna's Tidebinder. Really late Solitude. Can take the River Pyre Verge here to help fix our mana a little bit better for this 4th Erolingus, which I think is probably better than taking another creature. I don't really want to have too many, if any at all. Having like Sowing Mycospawn is, I think, kind of fine, and I think honestly Tishana's Tidebinder is kind of gonna fit into the same category of just the fact that even if it does give our opponents a target for their kill spells, it's already done something by the time it enters the battlefields. Not playing any of these. Sanders Lounge is a blue and red land. Got 2 tapped lands. If I bring in the Elegant Parlor, that makes it 3. PO came back to us, so I guess I'll put that in the sideboard. That might be a possibility. Manifold Key was the last one. All right, that's not 0 to make it into the main. So let's see. We've got 11-ish lands. We actually need a couple more playables. Some of the really big artifact payoffs, like Balance and Upheaval and stuff like that. We didn't get Time Spiral either. We've definitely got some powerful stuff to do with like Ugin, but yeah, we missed out on a lot of the smaller artifacts that are really going to help us along for the most part. So we do need to add a couple more cards back into here. I guess we're going to end up playing like main deck Terra Sunder and consider just playing the Endstone just as a main deckable card here. For a double power deck, it went a little wonky, unfortunately. We missed out on some of the gluier pieces, I think, at the bottom end of this. But we got a lot of powerful 3-drops, so with the right draws, I think we're going to be able to whoop some butt with this deck. All right, yeah, we're looking at 4-color artifacts, but I think this is gonna be kind of fun. We got a lot of really fun cards here. We're gonna be able to leverage some powerful Magic cards at least, if not the most cohesive ones. We've got a Force of Will. We've got an Ancestral Recall. We can unleash the world's largest 4th Erolingus on somebody at some point. All right, here we go. Round 1 on the play. We got the Academy in hand. Not a whole lot of mana otherwise, though. We're not skimping on it. We've got 17 lands. I guess that's including our Mox, but then we've got other accelerants besides that. I think given that we've got Force of Will and Stock Up, I'm just going to keep this. I did forget that River Pyre Verge is base red in this scenario. Ooh, the Thoughtseize, huh? I don't think that really matters. Take our Force here if they want it. But I think that's ultimately going to be better than us 2-for-1ing ourselves. All right, there's the Mishra's Workshop. That's pretty good. Okay. Suddenly things have turned around for us. We're going to have blue mana, but not white mana yet for this 4th, but opponent is on some mono black. Hope this isn't him. It is him. Okay. Well, let's not lose. All right. Well, I guess this is kind of maybe one of the better scenarios still to have with this. That was actually a really good draw too. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to tap down Basalt to cast this Stock Up, but I think this is very well worth it. Let's see. I think Ruby's gonna be one of them. None of these give us access to white, but I guess without taking like Botanical Sanctum to go along with Terra Sunder, it doesn't really make sense to do that in general. So let's just take Ruby and Endstone. It's at least a combination. Opponent is a discard deck, so gonna get our Ruby out there. I guess it's one of the lesser important of things to not get discarded, but all right, here's the starting town, and opponent passes it back to us. I don't think we're really going to do anything right now. Myco Spawn, I think, doing a lot less for us in this situation now that we've already got Workshop and Tolarian out. Yeah, I think we're just going to pass it up here, and we can unlock the Monolith on our opponent's end step. Hope they don't have Hull Breacher. No, they just did nothing with their mana. Arid Mesa for them on turn 4. Here comes the Mountain, and alright, now we're making a play. What do we got? Death Greeter's Champion. That's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Alright, Monolith. Okay. Well, does that mean we just want to do a big 4th Earlingus here? I think that's probably correct. We're going to get to launch it for 5? Alright, that's a pretty good 4th Earlingus. Gonna leave one guy back so they don't take the Monarchy from us. They will have it if they have a removal spell in hand to go along with their Death Reader. Okay, Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal is actually pretty good to go along with this Endstone. But yeah, if our opponent's got like Fatal Push plus Death Greeter to just take the Monarchy away from us, I think that we're gonna be doing pretty good. All right, opponent agrees. We're doing pretty good. All right, double power deck. Never didn't have it. Even through triple discard too. I mean, I guess double discard, but like we discarded 3 cards in total due to the Hymn to Shirok. Let's see, is there anything that we want to change about this? I don't really think so. We're never going to be able to cast one of these double white spells. I mean, I think the only sideboard consideration we're ever realistically going to have is like, do I want to bring in Paradoxical Outcome over something? I think the answer is no. Yeah, I think even though Sowing Mycospawn was not good there, I think it's probably in more situations better for us. Ooh, here's an early Oko. Turn 2 Oko is probably really good if we don't discard it. But I think mulliganing against a discard deck is generally not a winning endeavor anyway, so. Alright, Mountain, we passed test 1. Guess, Sanders Lounge, and we're just going to play out the pedal. Here's Blazemire and Smuggler's Copter. Okay, so that means we get to start playing a game of Magic. And I guess that we are, yeah, because we don't have the green source without this pedal here, so let's get Oko down now. Opponent can play a creature, brew up Copter, and hit us for 3, or we give them a 3/3 and they hit us. Basically, the difference is that it doesn't fly and it won't get to draw a card. That does sound better. And then we have Tishana's Tidebinder to help interact on the following turn. I think that's probably the correct move. Let's make an elk out of the Copter. All right, here comes Copter Beats and a Bat. Well, Bat taking Tishana definitely hurts, but we've still got another 3-drop to cast, so not the worst thing that ever happened to me. Oh, they took the Palantir. Wow. They have, okay, I was going to say, they must have some sort of removal for Oko then, and they did. Well, that's the situation. I guess we're just going to hold up Tishana's here. Obviously, they know that we've got it. Do I want to just trade off with Smuggler's Copter here? Not very concerned about the damage. Might keep them from being able to, like, cast something on this turn cycle. I'm going to cast it at their end step regardless, though. Can't hold up 3 mana forever. Okay. Well, I don't exactly understand why they would want to play Seasoned Pyromancer into this. Huh, stock up, yeah? Okay, let's just stock up then. Finding the Workshop here would be quite nice. We didn't, but we did find Monolith and Ugin. I think that's probably where we want to be about. Means we're still a couple of turns off of casting in Ugin. But if we draw a land next turn, that means we get to go Forensic Gadgeteer, and then oh, I'm sorry, this is Basalt Monolith. This is not Grim Monolith, so ignore that math. Well, if that's the case, I think we actually still do just go Ugin and Basalt, though. Gotta swing for the fences. And I suppose we do have the Gadgeteer here, so we can go Infinite and cast Ugin and Endstone. That's actually best case scenario. Alright, they're gonna kill Tishana, play a land. Wonder if they got Reanimation Spell for the Harvester? Nope, they do not. Okay. Is 5 mana enough to go infinite here? I think we need 6. Well, I mean, I know we can do it with 6, but like, can I Basalt, land, 1, 2, 3, Basalt, tap it for 3. This will have 1. Okay, yeah, no, that's enough to go infinite here, so let's do that. If they've got removal, It actually doesn't matter. Well, no, actually it will matter. I mean, they just respond to us on tapping. But we'll at least get to untap this monolith, if nothing else. And then next turn we can cast Dukin, which will also be pretty sweet. Huh. Okay. Never mind. We're just gonna go infinite. Well, you had to do this before, because now I've got extra mana floating. Oh, they're just gonna cycle on Earth? Okay. Alright, thankfully going infinite with Monolith is not a very click-intensive experience. Alright, 7 mana, here comes an Ugin. Ugin can exile the Seasoned Pyromancer, gain and draw, and opponent scoops it up. Alright. I appreciate that from our opponent, because we don't actually, as good as Ugin is, we don't even really necessarily have a win con. I was just gonna cast a bunch of stuff in Dirtle, but they don't know that. Alright, 2-0 with a dubious but powerful deck. Round 2 incoming. All right, here we go. Round 2. We are going to be on the draw here, and that River Pyre Verge kind of biting us in the butt a bit here. But we do have the pedal to cast the recall. I think that we're keeping. Turn 1, we just draw a Mishra's Workshop, and this is no problem. All right, opponent starting with 7. Opponent's got Swamp, and it looks like they're passing it up. Right, we drew Coalition Relic. Powerful magic card, not necessarily for us right now. I guess it behooves us to just recall before we play a land drop. That way we still can draw the Mishras. Ooh, we drew no lands. Is markedly worse. But I guess we've got at least one card to pitch to this Force of Will now. It's kind of incredible considering that we are playing 17 lands in this deck too. Not skimping on it. Let's see, they've got... Oof. I don't think that we can afford to let them have that. I do think I want to try to cast this stock up. Alright, we draw a land. That is good news. Not necessarily the land that I wanted, but probably the one I deserve. Next one gets us to Basalt Monolith, and then we're kind of in business. Opponent's got a Palantir of their own, okay. Wonder if they're like blue-black artifacts. They get their first activation on the Palantir. We are not going to let them draw the card. It was Damnation on top. Alright, we draw a Ruby. Not a land, but not too bad. I guess we're going to go Relic here. Relic allows us to cast the Myco Spawn next turn, which is going to be good for 3 mana if we do indeed get to cast it. Our opponent's got Urborg of their own. It looks like they're passing it back to us. Palantir. All right, let's see which way our opponent's going with the Palantir here. They go 2 to the top this time. We'll say no to the draw. We're going to lose 6 from it. It's a rough amount, but... All right, let's charge up the Relic. Untap, get a Hallowed Fountain. Relic is going to add green. And yeah, no way to get colorless mana at the moment. Kind of unfortunate because we'd be able to knock out that Dark Slick Shores, which is currently their only access to blue. But that's not the situation we're in, so let's do the very cool thing that we can do, which is get a Tolarian Academy. Okay. Alright, we got a lot of colorless now. Got 5, 6 mana. I guess that we're just going to cast the stock up here. This gets countered. It's a little bit unfortunate, but not a huge loss. We still got the End Stone. Any spells we draw off the top are good. Alright, well, I guess we're taking Ugin and... I guess the Terra Sunder is actually pretty good for us right now, considering the Palantir is the only thing they're really doing. Alright, we got the key to untap the Monolith, so let's do it, since we're going to have a pretty colorless intensive next turn. Alright, generated a lot of mana on that turn. Alright, opponent's got an Underground Sea. Makes me feel a little bit better about not having the colorless mana to hit their Dark Slick last time. They got no place to make, huh? We're going to let them draw now, because now they are milling too many cards for me to really be able to take. But 1 top, 1 bottom. Could it really be a 9-drop? I don't think so. Nah, I'll let them mill one more time. Okay. It was a Shieldred. I'm pretty glad that I made them mill that, I guess. All right, let's go ahead and add quite a bit of mana to our mana pool. 5, 6, and 7. I guess if they're going to counter one of these, I want it to be the End Stone. And actually, the End Stone gains its life at this point, so yeah, it makes more sense to do that, I think. Okay. And now we can cast this Terra Sunder, targeting their Palantir. I was quite certain that they were going to counter that End Stone, but they, okay, maybe don't have anything? Seems unlikely, but I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna keep casting spells since they all draw cards from this end stone. How do you feel about Ugin, Eye of the Storm? Maybe that's the one that is enough to get you to counter a spell? I don't know. I'm not quite sure what they have in their hand over there. Maybe it's a Spell Pierce. They would certainly get my ass with a Spell Pierce right now. They have Daze. Huh, okay. Yeah, makes sense. I don't have 1 mana to prevent that. Ooh, Vivi's arguably better. Okay. Well, gain some life. That's nice. Opponent thinking at our end step. I wonder if maybe they got Brain Freeze. Brain Freeze would be very good. Nope, they did not. They went to their turn. Well, I guess there is something to be said for the fact that it's turn 6 and our opponent hasn't missed a land drop. So maybe they just only have lands in hand. I don't know. They had a Daze. They had a Daze too. Alright, they've got something to cast here. Let's see what it is. Nope, they decided against it and now they're passing. Okay. Turn goes back to us and we draw Oko, Thief of Crowns. What a card. Well, start off with Vivi. Endstone draws Tishana's Tidebinders. Pretty dang sweet. Cast an Oko. Triggers Eevee and the Endstone. Put our Always Yield on there. Alright, Oko was enough. Okay, I agree. Hey, you know what? This deck is pretty good. This is funny. This is what a hodgepodge of cards here. This Thopter Foundry, I'm glad that we haven't drawn it yet because it really doesn't do anything. It could technically provide us with some 1/1 flyers that Forensic Gadgeteer could be giving us. So there's that, I suppose. But man, what a I don't know. I'm not gonna jinx. We're just gonna run it back. We got Recall again, but we have to sacrifice our Everflowing Chalice to get it. But I think that's okay. Now I think finally we're seeing like the bad end of this deck with our 4 different worse than basics in hand. Gadgeteer. Okay, yeah. Everflowing Chalice for 0. Spell Pierce it. No, couldn't get him. Couldn't trick him. Do I want to do this in their upkeep? I think I probably do. Oh, they have a Brainstorm. Yeah, I'll just recall in response. They could have the Daze. They didn't though. Okay. Well, I'll just discard this Urborg, I guess, because well, Urborg would keep my Tolarian Academy active if something happens to my Chalice, I suppose. Yeah, considering that, let's actually get rid of the island. I'm not going to play that Urborg anytime soon while they don't have a bunch of swamps. There's MACD. Okay. Salt Monolith, not the best draw in the world. Let's go for Hallowed Fountain. Next turn, possible that we are playing Teferi Time Raveler. I mean, we got Gadgeteer and Basalt Monolith again. If we had a window with this MACD not on the battlefield so we could just have it come in untapped, start getting away with some pretty neat stuff. Opponent taps out for a stock up. I do kind of like the looks of that. Alright, them tapping out for that. I'm definitely going to slam this Teferi this turn. I don't think I realistically had a different plan than that. Although I guess now I do just kind of want to force check them with this Teferi here. Oh, Talon Gates, huh? That phasing might... I might be eating my words on how good phasing is. Okay, I think that we're still going Teferi here. Let's give our opponent the opportunity to waste their turn casting this MACD again. Ooh. Force of Will, but only the Gadgeteer to pitch to it, but that is something. Slightly larger than nothing. Alright, so we do need 5 mana to go infinite, as discussed previously. The only thing that kind of sucks is that we just don't really have a whole lot to do on our next turn. They want to kill the Teferi, okay. And then MACD to follow it up. Alright, if we draw Ruby here, we're cooking. We did not draw Ruby. Well, I guess that leaves the question of what do we want to do on this turn here. So if I were to go land Basalt Monolith, that leaves Academy tapping for 2, which is not helpful. I'm just kind of weighing like whether or not I want to feed this Forensic Gadgeteer to a removal spell. I think I'm just going to give it a shot. We don't really have anything else going on otherwise. It is my only force fodder. We get Dazed here, that'll be rough. Yeah, Daze is rough. Alright, nothing to do here on this turn. Worst case scenario, I think, here is going to be for our opponent to have something like Fallen Shinobi would be pretty bad. Although I guess not even the worst. If that got MACD off of the table, might not hit anything that's all that fantastic. Let's see what actually happens. They have a Shieldred. That is kind of stinky. I won't lie about that. There's a Tishana's Tidebinder. Well, actually a pretty good draw, I guess, isn't it? Alright, well, I guess we are not doing anything else on this turn cycle. I'm just going to play out the Mountain. Monolith is going to technically be +1 mana next turn because of the Tolarian Academy. If we play the Talon Gates and phase out the MAMTG, which currently doesn't really do anything for us, so don't think we will be doing that, but is technically correct. Our Tishana's Tidebinder. Looks like they don't have the wheel to follow it up with, or maybe they're just waiting until main 2. Haven't played a land yet this turn, I don't think. Yeah, no, they're just passing it back. Okay. Palantir. Not the coolest. Not the worst, though. I am going to bite the bullet and play the Urborg at this point. And let's play this Palantir and see what happens. Palantir lands. Okay. Well, I guess I've got Force of Will active now. Although, no, we're just dead here. Aren't we? No, we're actually not dead here because I'm going to be able to face out their shield drib with Talon Gates. Otherwise, we would be facing down a lethal 8 here. They have Duress. Go for it, bro. Takes our End Stone. Makes a lot of sense. All right, here comes the Goon Squad. Gonna activate the Talon Gates, put it in, and phase out Shieldred. This will keep her phased out until their next turn, so we're not going to take the 4 from her or the 2 on our draw step. And we draw Xander's Lounge. It's not helpful, right? Unfortunately, we are conceding that one. GG's opponent. Let's go to game 3. Is there anything we want to change in this sideboard here? Still don't really believe in double white for that unexpectedly absent, so I think that we're just running it back. All right, there's the Thopter Foundry, so guaranteed bad hand, I think. Yeah, we've got no real mana for this one, so we're going to ship that back. Now this is a hand. This is some mana. I'll take this one. I guess we're putting Xander's Lounge back. Or is it the Verge? Yeah, let's actually put Verge back. Opponent mulls to 6 and keeps. All right, let's go. Fountain. Untapped. Ancestral pointed at ourselves. All right. Solid draws. Nothing we need to do anything about. If we can save both of these zeros for casting after Saheeli comes out, it would be very advantageous to us. For sure. Okay. There's a Coalition Relic. All right, well, if we cast Saheeli this turn, we're going to get at least 1/0 to be able to cast out of it. So let's just do that. We have another castable lined up for our next turn with Coalition Relic. See if we get the days. No. There is our Servo. All right. A solid turn 2. Oh, imagine if we draw Academy. That'd be pretty good. Opponent's got Underground Sea into Quantum Ridley's. That's okay. They draw a card, goes out of play. That's kind of best possible scenario for us. Oh my gosh, and look at that. Yeah, we do have to sacrifice the petal for this. I think it's very well worth it to get this to Fairy down while they seemingly don't have access to anything other than days to fight us on this. I don't think we saw anything else that would do it here. All right, just go ahead and pick up our Mox and we'll play it again. We hit a land drop. We actually, ooh, yeah, we get to play the Coalition Relic too. That was really sweet. All right, Rubian, play Island. Now we've got 3 mana for Coalition Relic. Next turn, we're going to be up to 6 mana. So if we get an untapped land next turn, or actually Saheeli will also be able to turn a Servo into a mana-producing object. So yeah, we'll have access to Ugin on our next turn. Opponent has Palantir. A powerful spell, but I don't think it's going to be nearly good enough to compete with what we got going on just yet. I'm gonna say no to the card draw. Opponent mills over Shieldred. We're gonna charge up Coalition Relic. We draw Urborg. Okay. No response to our Coalition trigger. Add blue. Play a land for turn. We're gonna add 7 mana. And ooh, alright, we're gonna not open ourselves up to getting got by a day. So we're gonna turn one of these servos into a Mox Ruby. Alright, game 3, draw a card. Uptick to Fairy. Oh, the game has ended. Hopefully in our favor. It has. Alright. Alright, we lost one on that one, so not the perfect game, but we're up. We are already on positive record for the world's most confusing Tolarian Academy deck. But we've won with every conceivable win con that we have so far. I guess we haven't burned anyone out with VV yet. I don't know that that's a particularly actually conceivable win con, but all right, good. A mishmash of very good cards continues to prevail. Let's go on to our trophy match here. As long as we can avoid that Thopter Foundry, I think that will be golden. All right, we're matched up for our final match of the league, and we are on the play, and we've got Ancestral in the opener once again. Oko in hand as well. Yeah, not a whole lot to tie it together, but I mean, I think we'd be mistaken to not give it the old college try. Opponent starting off with the Temple Garden untapped. And what variety of mana dork do we have here? Noble Hierarch, okay. A properly aggressive deck is definitely the kind of thing that's going to give us trouble. Okay, some interesting draws. Force of Will. Well, I guess we can pitch Phoebe to that if nothing else happens. We're just going to play the Zagoth Triumphs. Oh, why didn't I play Palantir? Because I didn't recognize that I had it. I think is ultimately the answer there. Although I guess that means we don't get to play Oko next turn. So I think ultimately this is going to be better, I think, to play Oko, force whatever they play here. Save Palantir for a later date. Scythe Cat Cub. Yeah, it's not really the kind of thing I want hanging around. Hopefully they don't have a mana dork to follow this up with their land drop. The Guy's Cradle. Okay. We could pick up a Plains, which is pretty nice, getting us a little bit closer to this 4th Uralingus. Let's go for the Oko right now. If we elk something, we give them 4 power to start swinging at us with. I think that we have to play the slightly long game, go for food token here. If they hit us with like questing beasts, it's going to be devastating. But there's not much we can do about that regardless. If they have a really good like 5 or 6 drop to play here, it's just going to be devastating. There's not really a lot of leeway we have against it. I guess that is a situation where I could have taken that turn off, played Palantir, save Oko for whatever big thing they play here. Badger Mole Cub. I think that's kind of best case scenario, is that they only had something kind of dorky to play here. Although, now this Guy's Cradle's tapping for 5, so here comes something a lot less dorky. Oof, 7 mana they're adding to the pool? Alright, Bloodbraid Challenger. And they hit Bristly Bill. Well, I certainly wish that we had... Oof, into the Smuggler's Copter, too. Look at him go. Does that mean... That means Oko lives. Okay. Well, I guess it's play Gadgeteer, cast Palantir? Not a whole lot else to do. Do I make something an elk? Could be that Guy's Cradle, I guess. They are out of cards, though, so I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. Yeah, let's just make our food token an elk, or our clue token an elk. I think the card is probably a little bit stronger than 3 life. Let's just make the food token into 1 and pass it back. Neither one of these are helpful. We're casting a 4th Uralingus, so bottom. And let's see. We flip over Manifold Key, deal 1 to our opponent with the Palantir. Alright, opponent. If they got a land drop here, can put something counter on with Bill, and then they've... Ooh, Voice of Victory is a pretty good draw. They crew, so Oko gonna go down here. Fortunate. What you got, opponent? Alright, going to combat. Smuggler Copter crewed up with the Voice of Victory here. Got Bloodbraid and the Copter coming in. And I honestly don't care where either one of them is going. I'm letting it all come through. I don't want them to recast that Bloodbraid Elf. Alright, fetch land for Bill is pretty bad for me. Put a counter on the Smuggler's Copter is interesting. Alright, pass it back. Go ahead and crack our clue. See what we draw. Oh, forgot that only costs 1 because of Gadgeteer. Well, we're quite a ways off from casting this Ugin. We're not technically dead to our opponent's next swing, but I don't think that we're getting anywhere with this game. Let's concede and go to the next one, I think. This is definitely the situation that I was foreseeing, where if they got a lot of creatures, we just don't really have a sweeper of any variety or a good, clean way to answer a whole lot of guys at once. Not really much to do out of the sideboard about that either. We just gotta kind of be on top of them from the beginning. So I think the answer is to just start off with a strong hand. We did have Ancestral Recall, obviously, but didn't really see us through to the end. This is another pretty slow hand against them, so let's dig a little deeper. I'm not mad at this. This at least has a game plan. Coalition Relic into 4 Theolingus can get us somewhere. We'll keep this, put Botanical Sanctum on bottom, and I guess Manifold Key. Opponent has Plains and, ooh, Chromox. Rutro. What's that? Looks like Badger Mole underneath. Oof. Turn 1 of Johnny. That's tough. We draw a Lotus Petal. Help us power out this Coalition Relic, I guess is worth it. Alright, Relic out. Unfortunately, I don't think that we're really going to be able to do anything against this, though. They're just currently steamrolling us, and I really just don't have a removal spell in my entire deck. Alright, no response here. Make a white mana just in case we decide to cast this 4th. If we did cast the 4th, it would be for 2, and that's, yeah, just not enough. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll charge here in the main phase, use our floating mana, tap the relic, can charge it again. Right, opponent's got Voice of Victory. They mill over Pyrogoyf. Coming in for a big chunk, 9 damage, something like that. Okay, it's only 7, not the worst. But another charge counter on the relic. Alright, no responses. Counter's coming off. Make it double white. Do I want to put the Teferi out there? Gives me a chance to go a little bit harder with this 4th. Probably ends up gaining me a little bit of life along the way too. Alright. Zagoth Triome. Alright, that's the best I got, unfortunately. Don't think that they make a 4th Theolingus big enough for what we need here. Oof, or a Boroid. Yikes. That just make me dead right now. It might. 3, 5, 6, 7. Looks like I'm going to 1. I don't know. Math is for attackers. We'll find out. Okay, they attacked a fairy, so we went to 2. Alright, let's charge it up. As big as it'll go. Yeah, no response to this. We drew Sowing Mycospawn, which is not helpful at this point. Yeah, we can only make it for 5. Yeah, they got us here, unfortunately. Oof. Wow. A rough end to an otherwise very nice run, but we got our positive record with a pretty wild looking Academy deck. So all things considered, especially given the fact that we really did not have a solid win con for this deck by any means at all, I'm pretty happy with that performance. I couldn't ask for a whole lot better. All right, well, thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight, and thank you so much for another year of wonderful content here at the Mononon universe. We'll catch you all next time. Be good to yourselves. All right, well, there you go. That was a really, really wild deck. That was absolutely not your typical Tolarian Academy deck. We were definitely, like I said in the video, we were missing a few pieces. We were missing some early acceleration and stuff like that. But the fact that we got a 2-1 on this deck is kind of insane. I mean, look at this deck again and tell me that this is even like a fully competent deck. We're grasping at a few straws here, but if you put enough powerful pieces in one deck, it'll do something. We've seen a Tim Necrom deck before, I guess. All right, well, anyway, thanks so much for joining me, everybody. This was a lot of fun, and we will catch you next time. Be good to yourselves, everyone. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, one of the best ways to support us is by leaving a comment and hitting that like and subscribe button. It's incredibly helpful and always appreciated. If you want to support the channel more directly, join our Patreon to catch episodes early, join our private Discord, and get some other awesome benefits. One final thank you to all of our patrons who make great content like this possible. And thank you for watching. Be good to yourself, everyone.